I'm Katie Rammel. A lot to get to on this historic election day. The big story, of course, across the country and right here in Arizona. And this election, like so many before, sprinkled with problems at the polls, printing issues, missing ballots, leading to some long lines in some cases and some headaches as Arizonans try to make their voices heard. And earlier this afternoon, Goodyear police responded to reports of somebody with a gun at a polling place. We're told the man was wearing a holstered BB gun and was filming inside the polling place at Indian School and Litchfield Roads. Officers say they tried to explain the law, but the man just would not listen to them, so they arrested him for disorderly conduct. Election day is underway, and by all accounts, it's running smoother in Maricopa County than during the August primary, but we are hearing of some problems at the polls. Says the landlord locked the doors at a polling place in the East Valley. Well, we've heard of some printing problems at others. ABC 15's Mike Pelton live at one of those vote centers for us in Scottsdale this afternoon. Mike?
Well, there are a lot of people heading to the polls today, and consider the Maricopa County Recorder telling us that more than 100,000 people cast in-person ballots just today, and consider that update came back around noon. But today did get off to a rocky start for some people. First, there was this bizarre situation in the East Valley. The county recorder says a landlord foreclosed on a building housing a polling place in Chandler overnight. Thus, election workers could not get inside nor set up first thing this morning. Now, we've also heard from several viewers of printing problems at some polling sites. One woman who I just talked to tells me she went to 2 locations in the West Valley this morning. The printers were down at both sites, and it ultimately took her 3 hours to vote.
We're talking about key pieces of equipment, the actual printer not being able to work. And I know people are saying, well, why don't you do the early voting? Well, to me, I feel like there's something about going to the voting site on voting day.
This afternoon, we are working to figure out how many polling sites dealt with printer issues. But for context, this is a big operation. There are 503 polling sites in Maricopa County. So hypothetically, I'm just throwing the number out there. If 5 polling sites had issues, that would be about 1% of all polling places in the county. Of course, though, as you know, it's very frustrating for voters who come across it. For now, we're live in Scottsdale. Mike Pelton, ABC 15, Arizona.
Mike, we know you keep watching it. Thank you. Meantime, Maricopa County Recorder Adrian Fontes giving updates all day long. Just a few hours ago, there was a system-wide slowdown on the election check-in system, but according to Fontes, it did not cause a major delay.
We're still looking into why exactly it happened. There was a little bit of a concern because it was a system-wide hiccup. We're narrowing it down to make sure that doesn't happen through the rest of the day.
Despite all the issues, they're seeing, quote, great turnout. As of 11:50 this morning, more than 158,000 people voted in person today, and they've tabulated more than 626,000 early ballots. Well, issues at the polls at the center of our own poll today. Let us know about your voting experience. Weigh in at abc15.com/poll. We'll check in with the results throughout the hour. In less than 3 hours, we'll be bringing you full election coverage right here on ABC 15 and across all our platforms. Our crew's already across the valley talking to candidates on both sides of the aisle and bringing you real-time results. ABC 15's Danielle Lerner joining us live from the Renaissance Hotel in downtown Phoenix, where the Democratic candidates will be tonight. Danielle?
Well, Katie, I can tell you right now, it's still pretty quiet out here, still early in the night, but I guarantee you things are going to look a lot different once those polling sites start to close and those returns start coming in. So take a look, mostly just media here, getting ready, making sure they are all ready to go once those returns start coming in and those candidates start to show up. Most of those candidates, of course, they'll be out at the polls. They'll be trying to touch base with those voters, that final push before they close at 7 o'clock. And then many of them will be making their way down here so that they can watch the returns and hopefully speak to some of us about how they feel their campaign has gone so far. Now, a lot of buzz surrounding the Democrats tonight as well as they try to take the upset in some tight key races, including the U.S. Senate race, also the Secretary of State and Superintendent of Public Instruction. We'll have a closer look at those races coming up for you at 4:30. But we have several crews here on site. We have reporters, photographers, and we are dedicated to bringing you the most up-to-date information on the numbers, the candidates, as soon as they come in on air and online. And we We also have crews in Scottsdale. That's where the Republicans will be gathering tonight. So I want to check in with my colleague Faye Fredericks. Faye, how are things looking where you are?
Yeah, Danielle, we're in the DoubleTree Hilton Paradise Valley, and very much similar to what you were just saying right now, the cameras probably outnumber the party faithful here in this room. I'll give you a look around, though. Anyway, this is where GOP leaders and their supporters are going to be gathering later on this evening, watching those returns come in. First returns, of course, we're going to be watching are coming in from back east. Kentucky polls closed at 6 p.m., 4 o'clock here our time, so they just closed. One of the big races that we're watching from there is a House race out of Lexington. Republicans really want to hang on to that. That's one of the many seats across the country they're trying to hang on to. More polls closing in a half hour and then again in an hour. So much of this race has been framed as a referendum of sorts on President Trump. And a poll done just a few days ago showed his approval rating at 46%. Now, by contrast, President Obama during his first midterms was at 47% approval rating, and he lost 63 seats that year. Governor Ducey, another one of the people that we are going to be expecting here at Republican headquarters for the night. He's been enjoying a comfortable double-digit lead in the most recent polling, so no reason to expect a surprise there. But the big one, of course, is that Senate race between Martha McSally and Kirsten Sinema that could go long and very late into the night here, if not counting for days. With that, Katie, we will send it back to you. Coming away in about a half hour, though, we're going to break down some of the state races, the state legislative races that are going on and occupying a lot of the interest and the time of a lot of people who will be in this room later tonight.
Yeah, so much to talk about tonight. We look forward to it. Faye, thank you. At this hour, as Faye mentioned, most of Indiana and eastern half of Kentucky have already closed their polls. Some of the first states, as Faye mentioned, in the nation to do so. And check this out. Earlier today, congressional candidates Amy McGrath and Andy Barr cast their ballots. Some of that video just coming in. We're going to have much more election coverage coming up in this hour on ABC 15 News at 5 and on ABC 15 News at 6. And then at 6:30, ABC News will be watching the nation and the potential power shift. That's when we'll also start our live coverage over on Antenna TV, on ABC15.com, on the ABC 15 mobile app, and also streaming on devices like Roku and Apple TV. We've got our teams scattered across the valley, bringing you results in real time with analysis from the experts. And then at 10, we invite you to join us for an entire hour wrapping up this historic election day right here on ABC 15. But for